When you typically look at like sales people, let's say, or take any profession, you typically have those people who are so focused in on what they're doing and they necessarily don't know how it affects the other thing, or they're not even thinking about the customer. They're thinking in that controlled environment in which they created that thing. And whereas with you, because you're thinking about not only sales, and I think there's this really good story that you described, is when you were working with a company that was creating a test kit and you had to write copy for them, how you were able to take that language and simplify it. So is there some sort of mental model that you have or things that you're considering when you're thinking about something complicated in the context of the product, and then how that would apply to a customer?
I was over Christmas home with my family, and I've got 4 nephews that are a ton of fun. They're teenagers mostly. And we were talking about it. There's a really fun video out there where a dad is trying to teach his children how to make a peanut butter sandwich. And the dad says to the kids, you need to write step-by-step instructions on how to make a peanut butter sandwich. And it's things like, take the knife, put it in the jar. So the dad just drops the knife into the peanut butter jar, and there it sits. And then it says, take the knife and spread it on the bread. So he picks up the knife, and the jar of peanut butter is still on the knife, and he starts spreading it. So he's like following the instructions literally. It's funny because these little kids, 8 years old or whatever, are having a fit. Come on, Dad, you know how to make a peanut butter sandwich.
I love how you like look at something super complex and simplify it to like this example.
Yeah. And there's things that happen, things in the world that are incredibly complex. And we need some amazing minds to cut through all that stuff and just get it intuitively before someone takes the time to explain it to us lay people. I don't even know what you'd call it. Let me cheat on Google a little bit. It's called Simplified Technical English. And its origins came out of aerospace when folks were trying to write maintenance manuals for how to fix an airplane. And the idea is that there are certain words in the English language that have multiple meanings. We know this, right? And then there are certain verbs and certain nouns that have fewer interpretations. And those are the ones that you should be using when you're writing instructions that if you screw up, someone's going to die. The peanut butter sandwich, okay, whatever. We'll go have a bowl of cereal instead. It'll be okay. But if you forget to screw the brakes on the plane the right way, bad things happen.
Right. Yeah.
And some of that also came from this experience. The company I worked for, we had in our instruction manuals for our instruments, the standard for the company was to write these things in simplified technical English. And it's really cool. There's rules, like it's one step is one step. You like do this, then this, not bumping all these things in place. And then the other fun thing about that is that there's a testing element to this. It's not just product testing, but also the instruction testing. You go and give it to a novice user and you watch where they get messed up. The challenge with this from a practical standpoint is that the person that's right, we all want to jump in and help. But it's really important to watch people struggle because that's where there's an opportunity to make it simpler or remove a step. The Japanese talk about this concept called Poka-yoke, which roughly means to error-proof something. And the best way to prevent the error is to take the step out. You can't screw it up that way. It goes back to the system thinking and design thinking. It's way more than just the thing, but it's the experience that the user is going to have when they're interacting. And it goes beyond just a physical product. It could go with a website. It could be with the way people interact with you as a human.
And by the way, those contexts could be different for the same person. If, let's say, they have to use, and I think of one example, I don't know if I heard it on your podcast, with something that you've written, or when you're buying camping gear, you're buying it in a very controlled environment in a mall or a shop. But when you have to put that tent together when it's raining and it's storm, it's going to end in the middle of a forest where you have barely any light. How are you going to?
Yep. For sure. And how come they never go back in the kit the same way they came out?
Yeah.
I envision, right, some packaging engineer at Eureka Tent Company thinking, how small can I make this bag? And they get it perfectly fit in there, but it's like impossible to get it back.
Yeah.
So what would be better, right, is we undo the tent in the factory and we fold it up like a fitted bed sheet, another thing that's impossible to fold properly. And then whatever form factor it's in, like that's the size basket you make. or a bag you make. That would be way better. Maybe there's a product idea. After this recording, we're gonna go make a tent that fits in the package it came in.
That would resonate with so many people.
Yeah.
The biggest feature is it goes back in.
Yeah.
Yeah, the world's like full of these silly or funny or ironic sort of products and complications that come from using the product. In fact, there's some products that you have to break something off for it to become even more useful.